All right, this has been the moment I've been waiting for all day. It is time for a reality check. Let's welcome to the stage Susan Mitchell, MSA and Underground CEO. You know her. Get on up here. And Brett Martinez, CEO, Redwood Credit Union.
Louder yell than me. I'm just saying, not that I'm competitive at all.
I don't think I do.
We're listening to things today, and you're saying to yourself, what's this all about? Right? Everybody has a story. Everybody has a perspective. And what's the underground all about? Well, it was an opportunity to get together with the people that we know and love and ask them tough questions and ask them to go public with that. And I have a dear friend sitting next to me that is willing to do that. So I would just like you all to thank Brett ahead of time because you don't know what might come up, okay? So.
Willing is a strong statement. Am I on?
Yeah.
No? No. Hello.
Let's try another.
Now? Nope. Okay, I'm done. All right, here we go. Yep. So willing is a very strong statement. We were talking. She wanted me on a panel. Then we got done talking. She's like, you and I are just going to go up and chat. And I said about that topic. By the way, we're from the West Coast, so it was 4 o'clock in the morning. And I'm a little distracted right now. I have to admit to you. So it's late. My brain's not totally functioning. But I walked out of my room this morning and kind of go in the hallway. There's these other people walking down the hall, and I forgot my cell phone. So I go back in my room and get my cell phone, and Brandy just told me that it meant something else. You guys know what she just did, right? I'm out of what? So I didn't know it meant I forgot my cell phone. So I got to go find those people and apologize to them. So.
Well, this is a historic time, and we say that not lightly. We hear it all the time. This is historic. But we are here with a tremendous amount of consolidation, and we have always weaved in social change as part of what we're talking about, because all of you in this room affect consumers. You affect your families, you affect your neighbors, and you affect your communities. So we believe we cannot sit here and talk about financial services without the understanding of what our members are going through. And not just the 650, 700, 750 credit score of people, but all people. We live in Las Vegas where sports gambling has always been there, but we now have sports gambling everywhere. And what's that going to do to generations? So there's a ton of stuff to talk about. So today we I picked 3 questions, and Brett's going to tell you the realities of what that looked like, what that might look like.
Or just my opinion.
Yeah, I happen to like it. So question 1, credit unions are experiencing drain on earnings, and the gravity of impact is significant. Please share your thoughts on why scenario planning is going to be critical.
So that first video that we saw where everything was just flashing, how many people, I told you my brain's not fully functioning, but that kind of blow you away, right? It was a little hard to watch. That's actually what's going on in the credit union industry. So in our credit union, we tackle that through scenario planning. And we've been doing this for a very long time. There's scenario planning for, the financial stuff, which we do a lot of that, but there's other types of scenario planning. So when you're doing scenario planning, you got to get really dark, and you got to think about things that could happen. The reality is I've been doing this long enough that we're not guessing anymore. So the Great Recession, if you know where I live up in Northern California, massive amount of fires, floods, pandemics like you guys have been through. We even model locusts. Like, we got the whole thing figured out. And when you're doing scenario planning, that stuff that's coming at you like that, it's less impactful. People ask me all the time, how do you make decisions so quickly? Because I already know the answer. I know what's going to happen. I know what the worst case situation could possibly be. I know we'll be okay. And so it's in these times, doing that scenario planning is just, it's kind of something to help yourself, help your teams, help your boards. We take the boards through all those scenario planning. They know that we'll be okay at the end of the day. What do we got going on right now? We got interchange. We've got overdraft protection. And I guess probably one of my biggest messages is small credit unions thinks that's just for large credit unions. We're $8.6 billion. We are planning for the $10 billion impact because it's substantial. It's about $27 million just like that in income taken away. But that income is eroding as we're talking. It's not really a $10 billion situation for us or any of us. So I'll just focus in on interchange and overdraft protection. First of all, the $10 billion impact for us on interchange is about 24 basis points. If overdraft protection goes away, it's 20 basis points. So first of all, we'll be fine. It'll be different. It'll be tougher. We also have 87% checking penetration, so the impact on those two things on our core business model is substantial. Those of us that have been around for a while, seen Congress do anything that impacts financial institutions, is all it does is move the cheese. The cheese goes from here to there. So in our organization, we're trying to figure out where the cheese is going to move. And so I wish I was further along on this. It's going to be a journey. But one of the things that we did was we did a financial modeling on the top 30 regional financial institutions and looked at the impact because they've already said that they've cut back on overdraft protection. They're over 10 billion. They've already had the interchange impact to them. And so when you look at that, they're all kind of having the same impact on non-interest income. So then we just focused in on the top three, which is JP Morgan Chase, Wells, B of A. And we started really just diving into their numbers and looking at the non-interest income impact and trying to figure out what changes that they're making, because banks aren't going to just take less income, right? It's going to move somewhere. But so here's what we found, and we still have a long way to go on this scenario planning and trying to figure out where the cheese is moving. Their wealth management services have increased significantly. So they're very focused in on wealth management. A lot of them are merging in other wealth management companies, but they're also changing their model in their wealth management and growing that substantially. The other thing that's interesting, we haven't quite figured this part out, but they're growing interchange substantially. So that's not good news for us if the big banks are growing interchange. But the reality of what's happening is they have variable rate portfolios, so as their non-interest income has been going down, their interest income is shooting through the roof. They haven't felt the impact yet. So this is my take and my opinion. The cheese hasn't moved because they don't need to yet, but as rates start going down, it's going to move, and they probably don't want to be the first, but somebody's going to have to do it. So what does that mean? I don't have the answer yet, but those are things that I think we need to figure out which direction we're going. Does that just mean everybody gets charged for checking like it was before that income wasn't there, or is something else going to happen? So that's a scenario that we're in the process of trying to figure out.
When you talked about the different scenarios, it almost seems like there's a layering effect. Like it's not just one scenario. And in your particular region, it has come one after another after another. So how do you put that into the equation? How are you dealing with that?
Yeah, so we talk about layering effect a lot. And when we talk about layering, and we could go on, we could probably spend all day talking about the different layers, NCUA, CFPB, state regulators. We just keep on layering stuff on. But the two things that I'll talk about a little bit is members who are employees and businesses and the layering impact. Now, we live in a place that's a little bit different, but y'all have your own layers. And the impact of all of this is financial and mental. And we've seen the two have a huge impact on our membership, our employees, our business members, and just our community in general. So we had fires 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. We had floods in between there. And then, just like all of you guys, we had the pandemic. So the pandemic really wasn't the issue for us. The issue was the financial and mental impact of all of those fires. We talked earlier today about people who are just living on the edge. They barely have any money. Well, if you get evacuated from your home, you have to spend money. You have to rent a place, or maybe you're out on the street, but you need food. You lost all the food in your refrigerator. If you're a business, people aren't coming to your business because there's fires, there's smoke. And every year, those businesses, those people, and our employees are spending resources that they don't have. And then a pandemic hits. And they've already been impacted. So we've spent, we do a lot around financial education, financial help. We do some pretty amazing stuff in our area. But we've also really focused in on the mental wellness. We've hired for our team. We have people that come in and help our team with the mental impact of helping all those people that are impacted. We've done videos and sessions for our members. And we actually even hired people to go out and do videos for 5th to 12th grade. So we're sitting there during the pandemic. You guys in your area is probably no different than mine, the impact on kids in school. And the kids are at home with the parents. So we hired people that specialized in each age group, 5 to 18, and created educational videos for the parents and kids that we then distributed through the schools to help them through the mental aspects of that. So the layering of that is pretty significant. And then when you look at the credit union, and so overdraft protection, and I think a lot of us think about one thing, overdraft protection or interchange. So what about overdraft protection and interchange? What about overdraft protection, interchange, credit union taxation? I've been planning for credit union taxation since the day I took over as CEO, right? And I hope it doesn't happen, but I know that we're going to survive through it. So I can survive through all three of those. Now throw a significant recession on the top of that, we're in trouble. So that layering effect of impact on our businesses, impact on our members, impact on our employees is huge. And when we just look at one thing and say it's this thing, it's never just one thing.
So if you were to sum it up and challenge the industry right now, something that you think is our greatest spin, I haven't prepared you for this one, but I thought I would because he's just fun to tease. So what's our greatest spin? What aren't we facing? What do we need to face?
Well, I'm going to, because it's the thing we're kind of here to deal with, which is overdraft protection. So I'll talk about overdraft protection. Brandon called it a drug, and I have to agree with that to an extent, because I never wanted us to. I've called it a drug since day one, and you don't want to live on the drug. So, I remember being in a national roundtable meeting where NCUA had been hammering on us about unbanked members. So what happened before overdraft protection is everybody was charged a fee, and then if you bounced a check, we sent it back, charged you for it. You got charged ridiculous amount of fees out there, and we just went and studied all those fees that are getting charged out there. So our overdraft protection program covers mortgages, rents. It's down to the individual level, so it's not just $100 or something like that. And you bounce a rent payment, it's $250. The people that have the worst junk fees, I want you to remember this on Wednesday or Thursday or Tuesday, whenever you go to, is the government. Yeah. Those fees are ridiculous. Taxes, the franchise board, the IRS, the fees are ridiculous if you go take a look at those. So their credit would be destroyed because they would be late. We would actually close their accounts because they had too many NSFs. So overdraft played a role, but if you did a bunch of stuff that was irresponsible, it can be, I didn't call it drugs, I called it crack, so I'll just be crow. You could live on the crack. So we have, if overdraft goes away, it's 19 basis points for us. It's not that big of a deal. I'm going to fight like hell to keep it, not for the 19 basis points, but for our members. So we just did, and we've been reducing income for the past 4 years substantially, and doing some pretty cool changes with our overdraft program, and reduction in fees, allowing them grace periods, and the technology to pay that really quick. But we just surveyed all of the people that used overdraft protection last year, and I recommend you all do that. We're coming here powered with some stories. So I'm going to read you 2 stories. Oops, wrong one. Find the stories. There you go. So we sent it to all of our members and just said there was no paying you for incentive for this or anything. It's just tell us your overdraft protection story. Things like you helped us pay our rent and mortgage, you avoided homelessness, job loss, unpaid medical, no food on the table, gas, heat, utilities, those types of things. So we had 120 some responses that were mind-blowing. I'm going to read you 2 very short stories, but they were mind-blowing stories. There were about 7 complaints. And I think the complaints are more important than anything else. I'll give you one example. So one of the complaints was overdraft protection cost me $39,000. And I looked at my senior vice president over that area, and he's like, no. I said, your job's to make sure this doesn't happen. So we look at his account, and there's very few overdraft charges. So we call him, and this is his story, and he fully admits it. He basically says, yeah, he goes, I really love overdraft. I thought it was on my credit card. I used my credit card to pay my insurance payment, but I didn't have enough, and so the payment didn't get made. And I didn't read any of the notices that said my payment didn't get made, and it's delinquent, and by the way, you just got canceled. He goes, they were all sitting on the counter. I never opened any of them. Then I got in an accident, and it cost me $39,000 to fix my vehicle. Now, if a legislator or a news reporter hears $39,000 from overdraft protection, that's not what happened. That's not what happened. We called every one of those people. None of them, we had great conversations with them. We educated them. None of them wanted us to take overdraft away. This guy was just venting about a situation, but that's what happens when people are hearing these stories. So here's 2 of the, do I've got time for 2 stories?
Yeah.
Redwood Credit Union and the overdraft pay advantage has helped us tremendously keep our house. These are their words, not mine. Since the pandemic in 2020, my husband and I both lost our jobs and have been scrambling ever since as we came to the last 5 years of paying off our 30-year mortgage. Every once in a while, I'll get a job, and then we have to use overdraft payment, and 2 incomes work very well with the overdraft payment. My husband is a seaman and has had to go back on a very long ocean trip and for me and alone for months on end, and I am now 66 years old with a very difficult job, but you helped save our house. As a newly single mom of 3, living off of 1 income and being forced to move with a $700 a month rent increase, the RCU overdraft protection has provided temporary assistance in paying my rent without it being returned, risking being kicked out of our home. It has been a huge stress reliever knowing it's there if I know I'm going to fall short. One of the reasons I've been a member for almost 30 years. So, if you do it right, this is a lifesaver, and it is the right thing to do, and it is a lifesaver for so many people. And I really suggest you reach out to your members and start that conversation with them.
Well, thank you. And one of the things I want to emphasize as we wrap this session, I wanted to read that later. As we wrap this session is the fact that the spin, the echo chamber in the world today is that we are hurting, okay? We are hurting people that are disadvantaged. And the reality is that this is a benefit, if positioned appropriately, that if it is taken away from credit unions, it will be taken away from people that need it. So when you think about spin, think about that. It's the story that's being told and then continuing because of the echo chamber. So thank you, Brett. Appreciate it.